Welcome back to this week's edition of Before the Bell. That's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. UFC Fight Night 82, Hendricks versus Thompson. Big fight, big night. February 6th in the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Vegas right now it's super crowded. It's a buzz. Half the fighters aren't even staying at the MGM. They're over at the Monte Carlo, which sounds kind of neat, being away from all the fans, kind of having your own space. But at the same time, they're shooting the Jason Bourne Part 5 movie right on the strip of downtown of Las Vegas. So at about 10:30 at night, they start blowing stuff up and taking shots. So right when the fighters are trying to go to sleep, they're shooting stuff and blowing stuff up on the strip right in front of the hotel. So we'll see how sleep patterns go through this fight.
Yeah, that's a unique situation, right? Not very often that you hear anything like that in regards to the UFC, for guys getting their rest properly and all that. But hey, at the same time, I'm sure it's pretty cool, right, for some of the fighters to experience that kind of atmosphere.
I talked to KJ Noons, one of my other interviews you can see here on MMA Oddsbreaker, and he was like, I had to move rooms. Like, I spent one night, they were blowing stuff up, the construction's bad, so he just moved to the other side of the hotel. Hopefully the other guys figured that out as well and moved as soon as they could and got to the other side of the hotel. It's a little bit quieter, but I don't know if that's really going to bother the co-main event of Jared Rochelle and Roy Nelson. I mean, both of them, I think Roy is actually staying home at his house because he lives in Vegas, and that's where the fight is. And then Jake Rochelle, he's just a heavy sleeper anyway from his days at wrestling at Oklahoma State University. I've got to think that Roy's got to be the favorite in this fight coming into it, but I see this fight being really, really close. The line might be a little bit off of how I think the fight's going to go. So who's the favorite in this one?
Roy Nelson is the favorite indeed. He's at minus 160. The comeback is plus 150. If I'm not mistaken, let me check the Dom Best screen right now. And yes, at 5 dimes, it's actually minus 160 plus 140. Right now, the line is for Rochelle as the underdog is plus 140, of course, and Roy Nelson as a favorite at minus 160. So he is a slight favorite. It should be a competitive fight, and it's an intriguing matchup because you got one guy that's kind of been around forever in Roy Nelson and has accomplished a lot in his career. I mean, the guy's beaten some great names, and a lot of people believe he's on a decline. I mean, if you look at his resume recently, he hasn't really put together too many wins. And then you have the other guy in Rochelle, which is actually climbing that ladder, trying to get his way up towards the top and earn a title shot, right? So these guys are kind of on two different paths right now. And that's what makes it intriguing. And Roy Nelson does not win decisions. We know that as well. He gets out there that he either lays you out, knocks you out early, or if it goes to scorecards, he loses. So it is possible that he does that, though, as well, right? I mean, if he wins this fight, it's probably going to be by knockout.
And I'm sure a lot of folks at home are going to go ahead and watch the video of the open workouts that they had at the MGM Grand actually today. And Rochelle's throwing spinning back kicks, Roy Nelson was throwing spinning back kicks and showing his athletic ability. And Rochelle's more of a okay, I'm here to compete. Let me throw some hands. Let me do a couple takedowns, and we're done. Athletically speaking, Roy Nelson's way more athletic, way better foot motion. His body size and look doesn't really equate to it, but we never see it in his fights either because all he really does is throw a big overhand right and charge in, and like you said, either knock you out or lose a decision. That's pretty much the for par how Roy's going to go. I really like Rochelle in this fight, and him being the dog, I'm going to put down a little bit extra money than I normally do. Is there any way I should parlay this or anything I should do with this fight differently than me just straight betting out Jared Rochelle?
No, you shouldn't throw it in a parlay. I mean, like you said, if there's value there, just bet it straight. And I do think there's a little bit of value, to be honest with you, as well on Rochelle because, I mean, the concern, though, is he hasn't been clipped. He hasn't been knocked out before, and he's facing one of the hardest hitters he's going to face. So Nelson, with his athleticism, it does scare me a little bit because I could easily see Nelson landing one of those big bombs and putting Rochelle out. But I mean, if he comes up with a smart game plan and he can weather that early storm, I think there is value on the underdog because I think he can actually, even though Nelson has some grappling credentials, he's got some solid wrestling in his own right. I mean, Rochelle is the better wrestler in this spot. And if you stick Roy Nelson on his back, that's where his jiu-jitsu is not going to come into play as much. I mean, it's not like he's going to be going for arm bars and triangle chokes or anything like that. You know, so you can control him, you can pound him a little bit, you can score points. So I think Rochelle, it's really up to the game planning and how smart he does fight and how he kind of goes about everything. And if he can avoid getting cracked with that big bomb, he's going to win the fight.
We can say this about Team Takedown. With Johny Hendricks leaving the camp, Jared Rochelle's getting a lot more attention this time around because the coaches don't have to worry about Johny Hendricks' weight-cutting problems. And so as a result, Jared got a lot more time in. He got a lot more time with coaches, and I think this is the best camp he could possibly have at this point in his career. And so he's got the best shot of beating Roy. But, like you said, the big overhand right, if he catches him in the first round and a half, it's going to be over quick because he does hit extremely hard. And, of course, talking about Johny Hendricks, the main event, him against Stephen Thompson, Hendricks has got a new camp, new dietitian in Lou. He looked great. He woke up Wednesday morning at 173. He looked great during the open workouts. But it's Wonder Boy Thompson. Like, this guy can throw punches and kicks from halfway across the ring and catch you with his toe on the top of your head and knock you smooth unconscious. So this one for me is really difficult to pick. I'm assuming that Johnny's the favorite in this one and that Steven comes in as the underdog. But this fight's really close, right?
It is, surprisingly in some ways, because, I mean, you're talking about Johny Hendricks, which actually arguably could still be champion right now, right? I mean, his fight with Robbie Lawler, the last one was a battle. I mean, it was a coin flip. Pick, who wins on the scorecards. It was that type of fight. And he is coming in as a favorite, minus 210 right now. The comeback is plus 175 on Thompson. It's a little bit tighter than I expected at this point, honestly. So Thompson is getting a tremendous amount of respect from the bettors out there. This fight has been posted for a while, and the action has been steady coming in on Thompson. Now we're starting to see some action coming back in on Johny Hendricks as well. And again, with the line being so low, I mean, he's got the wrestling advantage in this spot. And then you're talking about Thompson striking. He does have a phenomenal striking game. I mean, one of the most unique and best strikers in the game right now, I think. But let's not forget, Johny Hendricks has a ton of power to go along with his wrestling too. So really, Johny Hendricks has a path to victory, which is taking him down, controlling him, grinding him out. He's been in 5-round wars before. This is all new to Thompson. I mean, after round 3, I know we typically do see Hendricks slow down a little bit, but still, I mean, Thompson's been out untested at this point as well. So the championship rounds, I mean, you got to give a lot of the edges here to Johny Hendricks in this fight. So he should pull it off, but I mean, Thompson's very dangerous, as you said.
Talking about how Johnny always slows down in the 4th and 5th rounds. Everyone is exhausted going into the 4th and 5th rounds. It's just what happens. You're exerting a lot of force. But Hendricks seems to really deteriorate once you make that 4th round. And personally, I think it's because he was coming down from 200 pounds and trying to make weight and trying to put weight all the way back on again. He'd start the week at about 200 pounds, make 170, and then put all the weight back on again, and try to at least, and only come in about 190, 192, and he didn't have the energy to go that late. Well, he got his diet under control earlier. I think it's going to help him as he gets in the later rounds. He's going to have more energy going in. He won't fade as much, but Steven Thompson doesn't fade at all. I think he's actually going to be just as energetic, even though it's his first time getting in the 4th and 5th rounds. I think we're going to see a huge fight where we saw with Condit and Lawler an amazing fight in the 5th round. I think this one's going to be a tremendous round in the 4th because both guys are going to be assuming the other guy has fallen apart, but neither one has fallen apart yet, so they're both going to accelerate. It's going to be fireworks.
I hope we see that. I mean, it has all the makings to be a great fight and another, amazing, welterweight fight. We've seen so many great fights in the welterweight division, especially towards the top recently. So I hope it does fall in line with that as well. I mean, a 5-round war would be fantastic. So, but there is a lot of question marks out there. I mean, right now I would lean a little bit more towards Johny Hendricks again because of the line drop, because of his just real advantages. I mean, being in the spotlight before, kind of holding that strap, he knows what it's like. I mean, the pressure's a little bit less on him, but at the same time, I mean, like you said, Thompson is a very game opponent, and if it stays up on the feet, Johnny gets a little bit tired. I mean, Thompson could land that punch or kick and put him out. I mean, Hendricks has a great jaw, but when you have kind of an unorthodox, precise striker like Thompson, he definitely can knock you out despite a good chin. So, I mean, it's definitely possible that Thompson gets a knockout here.
So our straight bet, of course, is Johny Hendricks to win this fight. But money-wise, betting-wise, where do we put our money on this one?
To me, it's almost, even though the line dropped a little bit, it's almost a pass situation. But I still lean a little bit towards Johnny. I think if there's anything, if you're going to bet either side, at minus 210, I do lean towards Johny Hendricks. So I don't think it's a dog or pass situation at this point. I think it's a favorite or pass situation. But you just have to be a little cautious because you are laying about 2 times your money. And if he gets knocked out, he gets cracked. I mean, Thompson is one of those guys that has been constantly improving. I mean, fight by fight, getting better. He's got the confidence now, because he's got that UFC experience under his belt as well. And he's very motivated to win this fight, obviously. And then to me, what you just said about Johny Hendricks, I do think he's going to come into this fight in better shape. I mean, the weight cut he's looked great. I mean, so everything's kind of lining up well for him. But at the same time, I mean, going up to 200 pounds or over 200 pounds when he's kind of off and then dropping all that weight again, like you said, just kind of consistently going back and forth. He's not getting any younger either. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how he looks and how that chin's going to hold up, to be honest with you here, because for me in this spot, you almost expect eventually a fighter to hit that kind of decline spot. Not that Johny Hendricks is old by any means, but at the same time, I mean, he's been in some wars recently. I mean, he's been in some hard battles, so we could see something. So you got to be cautious. It's Johny Hendricks, but a very cautious play on him.
So for me, I'm actually passing on this one. On the co-main event, I'm taking Rochelle to win as the dog. What are your final picks, Nick?
Yeah, I would go with Rochelle as an underdog and then Hendricks as the favorite.
There you have it. That's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. This is Before the Bell here on MMA Oddsbreaker. We'll see you again next week.